Grigio Academy is attended by two clans from rival countries, where their leaders have a forbidden romance. The anime begins with another fight between the clans led by Juliet Persia, leader of the White Cats, and Romeo Inuzuka, leader of the Black Doggy. When they decide to face each other, Scott, one of the White Cats, asks to fight in Persia's place, saying that he would protect her with his life. Inuzuka then angrily confronts him, but Persia intervenes, saying she didn't need anyone's protection. But he says he couldn't face a girl, leaving Persia offended. When the White Cat's monitor appears, putting an end to the fight, they each go back to their dormitories, which are on opposite sides. Inuzuka remembers that since they were very young, he and Persia had been rivals. But since that time, he had secretly loved her, always taking care not to hurt her in fights. But since they were rivals, he didn't know how to confess his feelings, becoming jealous that Scott told her everything he had always wanted to say. He then decides to go to Persia to finally propose. But when he gets there, he loses heart when he realizes that she was angry with him. When other members of the clan show up with some black doggy children who had pixelated their door to prove to everyone that they are strong, one guy violently throws one of the children to the ground, and Inuzuka, who was watching from the sidelines, runs to interfere. When Persia takes an attitude of being kind to the children, even though they are from the rival clan, making Inuzuka want to tell her how he felt, when everyone notices his presence and questions what he was doing in their territory. Distressed, he runs out of there, not having the courage to say anything. Later, when Persia was alone, she is attacked by three members of the Black Doggy and starts to defend herself against them with her ability. But Maru, who planned the attack, throws pepper spray in her eyes, and they capture her and cut her blouse to remind her that she is only a girl, humiliating her in a cruel way when Inuzuka suddenly appears, saving her from the situation. Persia begins to cry, and he feels bad that she thought he was the one who had planned that attack. In the Black Doggy dormitory, after Inuzuka beats the three of them, punishing them for planning the attack, he receives a note from Persia asking to meet her alone. Confused about what it would be, he goes to the meeting place. She asks him if he had planned the attack or if he had saved her, crying at the thought that he had found her weak with the situation. He then understands that the reason she had cried before was because of this reason and reflects that since they were little, he had always taken it easy on her because she was the only daughter of the Count, afraid of what would happen if she got a scar and damaged her image because of it. But this only made her think that he thought she was inferior. He realizes that she always defied the rules of the world not to be underestimated by anyone. To show her that he didn't think she was weak, he asks them to fight, promising that he will attack her with everything he has. But as soon as they begin to fight, he plucks up courage and tells her that he loves her. She can't believe what he says, and the two of them continue to fight until he says that if he were by her side, he could change the world, leaving her moved by his words. She then says that she will go out with him in exchange for him proving to her that he really can change the world. But the two would have to keep it a secret from everyone, acting as usual when there are other people around, and so they secretly become lovers. As usual, the clans fight among themselves, but unlike the other days, Inuzuka can't keep the silly grin off his face, making everyone weird. He sneaks up on Persia running away from the fight so they can be together, but Hasuki, a girl who liked him, finds the two of them, making him pretend to attack Persia and makes her furious and knocks him out by kicking him right in the face. In the garment, she looks at the flowers in a vase, remembering when she took some flowers like that to her father, who discarded the gift saying he was too busy. When Inuzuka appears at the window to give her a gift, a rosary, to represent his love for her, it was already a custom in the girl's country to gift girlfriends with a rosary. When Scott appears hanging out the window next door and, thinking Inuzuka was there to attack Persia, he jumps on him, causing them both to fall. Some time later, he wakes up in Hasuki's lap, who explains that all of Black Doggy was after Persia because they thought she was the one who threw him out the window. He runs to stop them when the White Cats show up and make a mess. He gets angry at the situation and accidentally breaks Persia's gift. Furious, he takes a statue from the place and starts spinning it around, hitting everyone around, from both clans, with some being thrown. At night, he thinks about throwing the broken gift into the lake, when Persia shows up and asks them to take a boat ride. On the ride, she takes the gift, seeing that it is a rosary, and asks him to close his eyes. When he opens it, he realizes that she has repaired his gift and put a rosary on him as well, a gift that was from her mother, which now belongs to him as a way of showing her feelings, leaving them both with a rosary around their necks. The next day, Inuzuka goes for a walk with a boy named Julius, who was actually Persia in disguise. However, everyone thinks Julio is great, not leaving them alone for a minute, ruining the plans he had for the date. Later, he worries that she hated the meeting, but she says that even though they were not alone as they had planned, she enjoyed the meeting, because she got to know more about Inuzuka and would love to have more meetings with him. With 3 days to go to their 1-month anniversary, Inuzuka calls Persia for them to celebrate on the day. They are about to hold hands when Scott and Hasuki show up, and they start pretending to be fighting, and the two warn them that Princess Char was returning to school. All the white cats gather to greet the princess, but not satisfied, she asks the black doggies to greet her too. But Inuzuka denies, saying that she was not their princess. But to his surprise, she says that she knew their secret, even having a picture of the couple with Persia, with Julio's costume in hand. In exchange for keeping his secret, she says that he should be her faithful dog. She then asks him to massage her shoulders, and since he had no other choice, he obeys, making everyone think that he was doing this out of interest in Char. Later, she explains to him that whenever she wants, she will call him with a whistle and that he should appear until the third whistle at the latest, like a puppy. After that, she starts torturing him by humiliating him and asking to be carried by him. And every time he tries to talk to Persia, she blows the whistle, preventing them from being together. And so time goes on, with him being Char's slave, as he tries to find a weakness in her to have a way to regain his freedom, discovering that Persia and she were childhood best friends, although they were no longer talking as they used to. When their anniversary day finally arrives, with no other option to be free to meet Persia, he breaks into Char's room to look for some weakness of hers, but she, guessing what he had planned, enters the room looking for where he had hidden. However, he had hidden in the secret entrance, behind the mirror, where he discovered her secret. She kept several pictures of Persia, secretly loving her. Char begins to cry, explaining that Persia was the most valuable person to her and she could not lose her to him. Suddenly, Persia knocks on the door to enter, since she was sharing the room with the princess. Char gets desperate, since he had several pictures scattered all over the room, and Inuzuka decides to help. While she distracted Persia, he collected all the pictures, hiding behind the mirror. She talks to Char, and the two become best friends again. At Black Doggy, once again Persia was disguised as Julius, so Inuzuka could see her, while doing their tradition, an intense study given by Hasuki, to prepare everyone for the upcoming exams. At night, Persia goes back to her dormitory, and Hasuki then shows up looking for Inuzuka, saying that he seemed to be hiding something, but he says it was nothing, looking bad for lying to his best friend. Later, when everyone is asleep, Hasuki talks to Maru, saying that she started doing the study sessions because of Inuzuka, telling her that when they were kids, she always got good grades, unlike him, who had difficulty in his subjects. But after he answered all his questions with her, he got a high grade, and their friendship began. Inuzuka ends up listening to the conversation through the window, and when Maru leaves the room, he arrives asking her why she works so hard for him, and she ends up confessing that she loved him. Thinking she deserved an honest answer, he reveals he was with Persia and therefore could not reciprocate her feelings. On the spur of the moment, she starts screaming to everyone that the two of them were together, and he covers her mouth to stop it. After she calms down, she explains that as a friend, she will help him to fulfill the Black Doggy Code, which said that if they fall in love with someone from the White Cats, they should kill themselves. She then takes the two a sword and starts chasing him like a crazy. In her room, Persia sees the commotion and goes after him and finds out that Hasuki knew about them when she appears behind Inuzuka with the sword. Jealous, she attacks Persia when Char shows up protecting her. However, she reveals that she was also there to kill Inuzuka. With the two chasing him, he runs away, taking Persia along with him. He says he feels useless, not being able to stop even his best friend, but Persia motivates him to face them both. He then confronts Hasuki saying that regardless of everything he will remain her friend, but ends up being hit by the sword, which was actually a fake sword, slightly injuring his head. In the confusion, Persia falls off the cliff and, without thinking, Inuzuka jumps in to save her, even though he cannot swim. Char and Hasuki jump in together, saving both of them. Hasuki cries as she realizes that he loved Persia as much as she loved him, and so she agrees to keep their relationship a secret. With a sports festival coming up, everyone trains hard to win. Meanwhile, Inuzuka and Persia meet in hiding. He tells her that he has a craving to eat something made by her, but no matter how hard Persia tries, she can't cook anything for him. The girl is a disaster in the kitchen, burning everything. But, not wanting to disappoint him, the next day she delivers a delicious basket. But when Inuzuka opens his mouth to eat, Char appears, putting her shoe in front of it. Jealous, she steals the basket, running away through the trees, but her blouse catches on a branch and the basket flies away, falling right on Scott's head. He is all happy, thinking that Persia had made that food for both of them. Jealous, Inuzuka kicks him and takes the basket back and a fight over the basket breaks out, until the basket falls right into a pigsty, becoming pig food. Everyone looks bad, especially Inuzuka, but Persia confesses that she had actually failed to make anything good for him, and that the food was actually from her cook, showing him some burnt cookies she had made. However, he eats the cookies, realizing that they really were awful, and starts laughing at the situation. Persia gets angry saying that she had to be perfect, and he reassures her that with him, she could be herself without worrying about anything. As everyone trains for the festival excitedly, Hasuki faces Inuzuka and her friends give her the idea of her winning the festival to win MVP and asking to dance with him at the closing party of the festival because of a superstition that whoever dances with MVP at the party the couple would be together forever. Hasuki thinks of a way to tell her friends that it's not a good idea since he couldn't tell them that he was already engaged. When one of them asks Inuzuka if he would dance with Hasuki at the closing party of the festival and he, not knowing about the superstition, agrees, not imagining anything romantic. After a while, when Inuzuka was relaxing for nothing, Scott shows up training with the other white cats, thinking that if he wins he would dance with Persia so they can form a couple. Inuzuka doesn't like his face, and the two begin to fight. He goes to punch Scott when a girl named Somali appears, stopping his punch with her hand, and Abai appears next, and we realize that Somali likes him and does whatever he tells her to. We find out that Abai is also the leader of the white cats, there being his and Persia's faction. He asks her to dance if he wins the festival to bring the factions together as one, leaving Scott and Inuzuka dying of jealousy, but she denies, saying she doesn't like superficial men. At night, Inuzuka receives a letter from Persia asking to meet him the next day to help her practice the three-legged race for the festival. Since it was a race where he would have to stand very close to her, he gets a little nervous about the situation. But in the end, she does super well in the training and asks him if he was too nervous for the festival since last year Black Doggy lost because of him, saying that he could count on her, making him realize that, in fact, she had called him there to get him excited about the festival. The day of the festival finally arrives, and after several matches, the two houses prove to be good, ending the first round with them tied. Inuzuka and Persia talk in secret, and she tells him that her mother was watching the festival and it meant that if she won, she would tell her father, making him proud, and that she couldn't lose to anyone. Then, the second half begins with Persia giving it her all. When Somali stomps her foot hard on Abai's orders, Char sees what had happened and worries, but she carries on with the competition as if nothing had happened. Persia and Hasuki compete in the next game, with white cats needing to win only that game to guarantee victory. After the two say they don't want to lose to the other, they start racing to win. Persia, with difficulty, takes the lead when suddenly, she falls to the ground. Desperate, Inuzuka runs to her, but luckily, Char stops him, explaining that if he went over there it would make the situation worse. Scott and the others from White Cats rush to her aid when Abai appears, humiliating her, saying that, thanks to her, they missed their chance for a guaranteed victory, and everyone, even the audience, starts judging Persia. Char tells Abai that he would regret what he did. With her foot injured, Persia leaves the competitions. Inuzuka feels bad, and Char explains that it was caused by Abai, who asked Somali to hurt her foot, explaining that he was trying to play the White Cats against Persia to destroy her faction, to become the sole leader of the clan. Persia cries, feeling like a loser when Inuzuka shows up, asking her to watch the match to see him defeat Abai. With the match still tied, the last match that would define the winning team begins, the cavalry battle. Inuzuka insists on staying on top, riding on Maru, so he can defeat Abai, but they begin to argue as everyone starts to play. Hasuki starts winning by taking the ribbons from several of the white cats, disqualifying them when one of the girls on his team starts to feel strange, and Abai takes a ribbon, knocking her out of the game. She realizes that several of the black doggies were having the same problems, with some even falling asleep in the middle of the game. In the end, only Inuzuka and Maru of the black doggy house are left when they realize that Julio, Persia in disguise, was rooting for them. The two finally start working as a team, defeating everyone, leaving only them and Abai's team. Maru then confesses that he realized Abai's plan, that he had sleeping pills in the water to defeat Black Doggy, and so he decided to put some in for his team, playing the spell against the sorcerer. Somali then tries to kick Maru, but Inuzuka stops her, realizing that her feet were with sharp spikes and getting even angrier remembering that they had hurt Persia, and throws Abai away, who ends up in the bleachers. With that, Black Doggy gets the win, but Inuzuka challenges Persia to the final fight. Now the victory of the house depended on who would win that challenge. The match begins with both of them giving it their all, even with Persia feeling pain, and everyone seeing her effort, cheering her on. In one of Inuzuka's attempts to grab her ribbon, he misplaces his hand, catching it on her chest, and he goes into shock, falling to the ground and being disqualified. And so the White Cats win the festival, with Persia having the most points, getting the MVP. All the black doggies are furious with Inuzuka for causing the team's loss and decide to punish him. At the closing party of the festival, while everyone is enjoying themselves, Inuzuka is left with a loser's plaque, when Persia shows up, saying that she managed to sneak out of the party to dance with him. The two then dance a two-wood dance, and Persia thanks him for giving her the opportunity to redeem herself and win the festival and promises that she will always protect him. To redeem himself with the black doggy, Inuzuka works hard for a month and ends up with a fever from all the effort. Hasuki takes care of him, but since she was temporarily replacing him as leader, she gets busy with her new duties and is forced to leave him alone. Feverish, he thinks about how he wanted to see Persia when he opens his eyes and sees Persia disguised as Julio and thinks he is dreaming. getting shocked after realizing that she was, in fact, there. She takes care of him, saying that it is a way to thank him for the festival when she realizes that his room was a mess, full of junk, and he explains that his room had become a warehouse since he lost it at the festival. She then sees an adult magazine in his room, leaving him in despair trying to explain that the magazine was his friend's, but she ignores him and decides to get him some water. Searching the cafeteria, taking care not to be seen, she gets to know better how the black doggy house was, but gets lost, not knowing the way back to the room, and ends up running into Maru, who shows that he was beginning to suspect who she was. Distressed, she spills the water on him and runs off looking for a place to hide, but to her misfortune, she ends up in the lady's room, being mistaken for a pervert. After a while, the poor thing finally finds the room, already dazed and with her clothes all wet. She exchanges her clothes for a dry one for Inuzuka, who is turned the other way nervously at the situation. Suddenly, his friend knocks on the door to get his magazine. Startled, Persia forgets that the door was locked and hides under the covers, making him even more nervous. After taking his temperature, he realizes that the fever is gone, and he is better, thanking Persia for taking care of him, but she surprises him by telling him that she went there without knowing he was ill, shyly confessing that she went there just to satisfy her longing, leaving him red again. Some time later, two twin sisters named Koku and Taria, the black doggy's monitors, hear about the harvest festival where all the students are going to have fun, and Eru asks them to come along to inspect everything. Inuzuka finds Persia hiding under a bench and invites her to watch the fireworks at the festival, even though it is quite risky for someone to catch them together. But when he says goodbye to her and comes out of hiding, the two twins, who had climbed the tree to save a kitten, fall on him. He treats them like brats when Hasuki arrives and explains that they are his monitors. The two say that he seemed to be having a secret conversation under the bench, and he invents that he was talking to the ants, making them see him as a lonely nut. He is relieved to be rid of them, but to his surprise, when he gets to his room, the two are there, questioning why he has a rosary. As he gets nervous about the situation, they begin to suspect that he really was hiding something, so they decide to follow him around the festival. When the day comes, Taria is tempted to have some fun, but her sister reminds her that they were there to monitor the students. They begin their work by looking for Inuzuka everywhere. With difficulty, he meets up with Persia hiding in a bush, and the two struggle to lose the two monitors, ending up inside a barrel, making them both nervous about getting too close. Inuzuka eventually realizes through a hole in the barrel that the two were sad, understanding their desire to have fun. He comes out of the barrel, asking Persia to wait there, and challenges the two to a game competition, making them enjoy the festival and leave him alone. He rushes to meet Persia before the fireworks start, but unfortunately does not arrive in time. When he reaches her, she was angry that she was left alone in the barrel and had to watch the fireworks through the hole. He apologizes, and she reveals that she was joking and not upset, saying that even though they didn't get to watch the fireworks together, she saw a cute side of him as he helped the monitors have fun. They then set off portable fireworks for them to enjoy a moment together. 1 week before Persia's birthday, Inuzuka finds out that the twins are going to Dahlia Street to do some chores, and offers to go in their place to help, when in fact, he wanted permission to go out to pick out a present for Persia. He finds a white kitten, getting excited to give it to her, but Char is also interested in it, and the two of them fight over the present until it tears. When a policeman shows up worrying about the safety of the princess alone in a place where there are many of the Tuwa hanging around everywhere, to get rid of him, she fantasizes Inuzuka into making him look like white cats by saying that he was her escort. Char then blackmails him by saying that in exchange for him being her escort, she would help him choose a perfect gift for Persia. The two then go out together to pick out a gift, and she takes him to a women's underwear store, embarrassing him. She starts to choose some panties for Persia, and they disagree about which one was the ideal piece. Unable to choose one, they leave the store when it starts to rain. Because of the rain, Char gets her blouse super clingy and starts teasing Inuzuka to break up with Persia, but he taps her on the forehead, rejecting her. Char then decides to leave to buy Persia a present another day, relieving Inuzuka of the task of escorting her. On the way home, she remembers how everyone spoiled her for being a princess from when she was a child, except Persia, the only one who was sincere and told her when she was wrong every time, reflecting how Inuzuka had also corrected her without caring about her title. Suddenly, she is attacked in an alley by two guys from the rival country. She knocks one of them down, and just as she was about to knock the other one down, Inuzuka arrives, making the guy think that help has arrived, but he says that despite being one of them, he was being escorted by the princess and knocks the guy out. Char questions why he helped her, and he explains that if something happened to her, Persia would be sad. Later, she explains that she was jealous of him because Persia wanted to spend her birthday with him, asking her to cover for her supervisor, and fulfilling their deal, she delivers a gift for him to give Persia, a white bra with kitten designs, perfect for a white cat's. At night, he receives another message from Persia by Arrow and meets her in the library. He takes the opportunity to ask what she would like as a gift, and she says she would like something they could wear as a pair. After the library, Inuzuka comes back to the house all jumpy when he sees the twins with Eru, the representative, and we find out that he was her brother. He questions where Inuzuka got the rosary, and Hasuki covers for him saying it's a gift for her, but her brother questions the white bra, and for that, he had no excuses. Eru reminds him how the West and Tuwa countries have a complicated relationship, with a weak peace agreement that could end at any moment, and that if he had been having a relationship with someone from West, he would be considered a traitor and would not only be expelled from school, but from his family. Hasuki tries to defend him, but Eru accuses her of being complicit. Eru then decides that she will watch him for a week, which would make it difficult for them to meet on Persia's birthday. Persia, after much training, finally manages to make perfect cookies to give as a gift to Inuzuka. Char and Scott taste some of them, loving the result, when Inuzuka shows up surrounded by the mentors and the representative, making everyone weird. Inuzuka tells the twins how his brother has always been hard on him, even being cruel. And so the week goes by, with him being watched by Eru all the time, even when he goes to the bathroom, never being able to see Persia and behaving very well. The day before his birthday, the White Cats plan Persia's party, while Inuzuka and Eru train together, with everyone noticing how differently he acted around his brother. Hurt from the fight, Hasuki helps him walk, when he confesses that he was only pretending to behave so his brother would let his guard down. Hasuki is worried about him being expelled for what he was up to, but he remains confident in his plan. Then Persia shows up worried about what was going on, and she tells him everything that was going on. When the time for the meeting finally comes, with an hour to go before the anniversary, he sneaks off to meet Persia, but is caught by his brother. He challenges Eru, who punches him and locks him in a shed, as he has always done during his life, to punish him. Knowing this would happen, Inuzuka had asked the twins to help him. They free him, and he rushes to his meeting with Persia, remembering how he wished for years to wish her happy birthday but never could, and how now he could be with her that day. But on the way he faints from weakness and wakes up in Persia's lap. She tells him that she went there to stop him, realizing that it was too late for that, and cries for having caused his suffering, just for wanting to spend his birthday together, remembering that she promised to protect him. Afterwards, while everyone is finishing the preparations for the birthday, Inuzuka tries to talk to Persia, but she avoids him at all costs. He pushes her against the wall, insisting on talking to her, but she pushes him away, saying she doesn't want to see him. Later, Hasuki realizes that he was sad and calls him to skip class, as a way of cheering him up. They spend the day together having fun, but he can't stop thinking about his beloved being sad again. Persia's party finally starts, and Char calls her to come and celebrate, but she was sad looking at her rosary. Char sees the cookies that she was going to give to Inuzuka strangely, that she hadn't given them to him yet. Persia then explains that she had hurt him and could hardly look at him now. Char then goes to Inuzuka to deliver the cookies to him, who is thrilled to realize how she had evolved in the kitchen for him. Inuzuka then decides to do his annual tradition, invade Persia's party with other black doggy with a pie war. He plans to take advantage of the confusion to sneak Persia out to finally congratulate her, but instead of finding Persia, he meets up with Scott and the other white cats who are also armed with pies, and then a pie war begins. He takes advantage of the confusion and starts looking for her everywhere and ends up meeting Somali and a boy who looked more like a caveman. After cheating at the sports festival, his faction broke up and he was kicked out of the dormitory, having to spend the night in the courtyard, but he planned to get back on top by defeating Inuzuka. Somali holds him down with her strength, but he tricks her by saying that Abai was jealous, and she falls straight, running to hug him, leaving Inuzuka free. He runs out of there but ends up cornered by several of the white cats, but is saved by Kate of the enemy clan who pulls him into the attic, leaving Inuzuka confused as to why he helped him. He gets out of there with Kate behind him, and he tells him where Persia was when he is again surrounded and finds out that Kate was the representative of white cats who was enjoying the whole thing. Meanwhile, Persia, who had been trapped in the room by Kate, decides to go out the window, her only escape route. And in the meantime, Inuzuka gets a beating from Kate while he thinks about how he is no match for any of the representatives. Suddenly he balls up a plan. He ties his legs together and jumps out the third-floor window. Everyone looks at him like he's crazy, not knowing that he had actually heard Persia upstairs, and she holds him down, leaving Scott confused as to where he had ended up. Eru is thinking about Inuzuka when the twins arrive, warning that they are having trouble at the White Cat's house. Meanwhile, Persia and Inuzuka talk, with her crying with concern for him when he finally congratulates her. He explains that the physical pain caused by seeing her is not comparable to the pain of being away. She then tells him that she loved him, leaving him emotional. She thinks about how there is a big barrier between Dahlia's two houses and how easily he scaled these barriers to meet her, making her realize that together they can overcome anything. Meanwhile, Eru was already downstairs putting an end to the mess when the couple, having agreed, show up doing a pie battle, ending in a draw. Everyone believes the staging, except Eru, who suspects the two of them of having an affair. He presents some evidence, such as his rosary, which was a custom in White Cat's country, his calendar marked on her birthday, and her bra, making everyone start to doubt them. Eru says that for proof they should measure the bra to see if it was Persia's size, when Kate intervenes, saying that he will investigate her himself and tells the black doggy to leave. With no other choice, the couple starts to go for the interrogation, with everything indicating that it was the end for them. Suddenly, Persia challenges Inuzuka to a duel, saying that it was a way for them to redeem themselves from the humiliation of being accused of being together. However, this time they would use real swords, leaving everyone worried, since any mistake could hurt them badly. She attacks him, leaving Inuzuka with no choice but to fight, but Eru realizes that he was being careful, figuring it was a bluff. But Inuzuka gets a real blow from Persia and she tells him to fight seriously, saying that she is willing to hurt and be hurt to protect who she is now. He then begins to take the battle seriously as well, and the two end up striking each other in the neck in a fatal way, causing everyone to freak out. Luckily, the reps stop them in time, and the two are taken to the infirmary, with everyone thinking that they really weren't together, since they wouldn't have gone that far if they were lovers. When they leave, leaving the couple alone, they talk about how their plan had worked out, and they had understood each other's signal, aiming the sword at their rosaries. Inuzuka then gives his gift to Persia, a pair of wedding rings. He says he is going to become a monitor, to change the school, and when that day comes, she must wear the ring. A week passes, with the two in confinement as punishment for the mess, but Eru, despite having accepted Inuzuka to work with the twins, still suspected something about his brother. When the confinement is over, the couple meet on the boat again. She puts the rings on their fingers, and they say they are looking forward to the day they can call each other by their first names, Romeo and Juliet.